Hip-hop's always been a part of my life, man.
As far as what you were just speaking on, I kind of feel the same way. When I was younger and I first started listening to rap music, like I used to love. I mean, every year, like 10 different CDs would come out that I'd cop and I'd, you know, listen to them from front to beginning 100 times, and then it seems like right around 2000, I think like maybe even a little bit before 2000, it seemed like the industry as a whole just kind of died out. And I remember when Dre put out the Chronic 2001, that was like that was like the only good CD that came out that year. And as far as
that CD and Marshall Mathers LP, you can't name anything else than those two CDs in that even era, except Capital Punishment, maybe like probably that year or probably I think in the same year. That's like the last year that anything really worth a fuck dropped at all.
Yeah, and it seems like ever since then it's just been mindless. I mean, even to an extent, most of that was some mindless bullshit. But it seems like now, to quote one of my homeboys, Jay Cost, it seems like they're just focusing on putting out zombie music. And what do you think the reason is for the fact that most of the music is so watered down and so blah now? Like, I mean, you look at the people that are up repping hip hop now, and you see the people on the videos, and you see cats like Kanye West and Jay-Z and all these cats that just have, you know, more money, and they're just basically actors up there, and they're rapping about shit that don't matter to none of us. I mean, they're rapping about nice cars and, you know, what kind of champagne they're drinking and what kind of diamonds they're wearing, and it has nothing to do with the community that made, you know, this hip-hop shit. This came from our community. This didn't come from fucking diamonds and champagne. So why do you think that that's where it's kind of gone?
Yeah, man, I think in my opinion, it's like, you know, back in the day, like, you know, hundreds of years ago, when people used the secret societies and shit to protect, like, what drove them, or like what they lived for and stuff. They used that secret society shit to kind of like protect their beliefs. Underground hip-hop is like our own secret society, and I think these bombs are put in place to purposefully like expose and extort our community and our, you know, society, like our underground thing that we had going, to try to just water it down. They call that garbage on MTV hip-hop, and they classify those people in hip-hop and R&B, but hip-hop is nowhere close to R&B. Nobody that was doing hip-hop really ever even touched on putting R&B in their shit. I mean, unless they were purposely trying to go mainstream, and that takes you away from hip-hop. All those guys, like, the big music companies that run those bums purposely pick these guys and say, look, he's a puppet. He'll let us shove our fucking hand up his ass, make him say what we want him to say and do what we want him to do, and we'll set trends and stuff, and we'll keep calling it hip-hop so that people who, you know, hear us talking about hip-hop think it's the in thing to do, but they have no fucking clue what we're talking about because they don't take the time to listen. And they go and download these ringtones because they think they're hip-hop ringtones. They go and buy these CDs because they think they're hip-hop CDs. They watch MTV because God knows why they think it's a hip-hop station. It barely even plays music, and when it does, it's that garbage. So I think that honestly all of them are put in place on purpose to destroy what hip-hop was supposed to be. When the hip-hop was coming, like when we were talking about it, when the Nas Illmatic was coming out and the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers and all this stuff, even if it wasn't every line, mixed in every song was some kind of message. Like, don't let them fool you. Don't let them lead you down, you know, down the zombie path or be a sheep or whatever. And I think they saw that as a threat, man. That shit was so hot. And when you listen to a song 100 times, you're going to hear the message eventually. And they saw that as a threat. I always thought ever since Tupac's assassination that there was something deeper in that, where they thought he was too powerful. When they saw that Tupac and Biggie beefing was so powerful that they could put one coast against another. All they had to do was unite and say, all right, it's us against the government. And that was such a threat because there were so many people following them and believing what they were talking about that they said, look, we can never let a real, true hip-hop artist get this big ever again. So instead what they did is they made true hip-hoppers hate the goal of being that big. Because now, in our opinion, if you make it that big, you're a sellout. So it's almost like we hate the thought of being that big and being on the radio and being on the TV and shit because we don't even want to be associated with those clowns, period. You know what I'm saying? So I think that it was a well-devised scheme, and I think it's working there for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would have to say I agree with you. A lot of the music, not just hip hop, but a lot of like other music out there that I listened to when I was younger. Definitely when I was, you know, as I started to get older, the message that was in it definitely helped me accept reality for what it was when I actually had to come to that decision, you know. But I always kind of thought the same thing as far as controlling hip hop and rap music in general, because like when I was younger, I remember groups like Public Enemy and like you were mentioning Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang has a lot of like subliminals or a lot of, you know, little hints in their music, and if you listen to it, you'll catch things. If you listen to it with a good consciousness of what's going on, you'll catch a lot of stuff that the average person, you know, doesn't ever even pay attention to. And I thought it was kind of strange how after Tupac died, Tupac like had a lot of good messages in his music mixed with a lot of bad stuff. I mean, that's just like all of us. We all have good parts of our personality and bad parts of our personality, but Tupac was definitely waking a lot of people up with his music and trying to spread, you know, a positive message, even though he was in a negative environment. And after he died, it seemed to kind of go with the whole industry that it went a lot more materialistic. And I always thought that if there was any chance at taking this country back, it would definitely be through the youth and most likely through the hip-hop culture, because that's the one music that if you go to a hip-hop concert, I mean, you're going to see a large array of people, you know, all colors, all different kinds of thought beliefs. You're going to see white kids standing right next to Hispanic kids, standing right next to black kids, standing right next to Chinese kids. You're going to see people with $20 in their pocket standing next to people with $500 in their pocket. And hip-hop is the one music that unites people like that. And definitely it's too powerful of a thing to leave uncontrolled. So I don't know, that's kind of where I think it's at, and I see it that way with pretty much all the music.